Here we go. Good evening. Good evening at our digital launch of the International Smart City School. And today we have the honor to have Sandra Marin with us, a friend of mine, and it's a very expert in terms of local development with over 15 years of experience in promoting sustainable urban models from integrated approach for local government, mainly co-financed by European funds. She's a senior expert at DG Regio to support cities in the development of their integrated urban strategies. And so she's a very long experience in the field. So I'm very happy to have Sandra with us for this digital launch. And she is okay. The speech will be about a very important question, a very important task. How we can build the smart city without losing the city identity. So the city identity is a very important thing, a very important point that we have already highlighted in the other webinar we done. But I think the vision of Sandra will be very will go very in depth in this in this point. So, Sandra, the floor is yours, please. And thank you.
Thank you, Luigi. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I love this concept of digital lunch. We have here. I'm right now talking to you guys from Malaga, in Spain, and we have lunch at 3 o'clock. So this is like a tapas aperitif, which is super good to get inspired. Okay. I know I'm surrounded by academia, not only in the organization, in the participants mostly, previous and next speaker. So I'm probably changing a little bit the type of presentation as well. This will be very visual. And I will try to bring some reflections on the situation and on how the smart cities concept is being introduced in cities in Europe. I like to start with this picture because if you take a look at the first line, that could be a small city in the hinterland of Spain or also of Italy. And one of the reflections that I would like to bring today is how the cities, everyone wants to be a smart city, of course, and they pass from the first line to the last one, directly to the future, without going through the second part. And this is a bit crazy, but incredibly is happening. So next slide, please, Luigi. I have to start apologizing because due to my version of Office, I cannot use the right PowerPoint version to get the subtitles. So yeah, mostly companies come to all kind of cities, no matter the size, to sell the same products. This is something really curious when I talk to cities, but I also talk to companies. I say, how come can you do that without making an initial analysis of the city you are trying to sell? But the cities do the same. These are a few examples. I'm going to put you a couple of examples of typical products that are being sold to cities in the name of the smart city concept. And it's very funny. And at the same time, I will tell you examples, real examples. I won't say the name of the cities, but real examples of what is happening with this. there was a city with around 25,000 inhabitants comes to me saying that we're going to be a smart city, and we are already investing on that. And we bought, we have implemented a traffic control platform for traffic management. And I was trying to remember the city, but the city didn't have street lights. So I said, you are investing in a platform to manage the traffic, but how many street lights do you have in the whole municipality? And they said 2. I said, well, interesting, very interesting. Next slide, please. Then we have other kind of solutions, like these smart green cubes inspired in Japanese models, or the Wi-Fi marketing that some of the cities want to offer to their businesses. And in another example, quite funny as well, they were contracting a company to give this service to their local companies, to the local businesses. But the local businesses, shops mainly, were not in the street. They were all in a huge shopping center. But they had this available. They bought this as well. Next, please. Then another funny example is the smart info points that cities have normally for tourist information. And I remember a mayor telling me that they have installed this in their city, available in 5 languages. And then I said, but did you analyze what kind of tourists do you have in your city? And they had only nationals, city in Spain, only nationals. And they invested a lot of money when nationals were not using these tools, because nationals just ask people in the street, get their own applications, know exactly what the information is because they are from surrounding areas. There were nobody analyzed what kind of tourist they had before investing in a smart city tool for tourists. Next. And well, security, we could stay here, you probably know better than me all models of solutions, but let me go straight to the reflection. Next, please. Okay, next. What is the main point? Cities need to analyze, first of all, if the solution has an impact on the community. And if it does have an impact on the community, that's not the only reason. That's not the main condition. But there's a second one, which is, does it responds to the real challenge? We will talk a little bit later of the challenge, if it's real or not as well. But let's think that we have identified a challenge. First of all, if the solution responds to that challenge and is creating an impact in the community, is improving somehow the life in the community, the life in the city. Next. Then something very important, and I will give you some examples after this slide about the integrated approach of the policies. We cannot think, cities normally implement what we have seen before, but without analyzing this under an integrated approach. What do I mean for that? Well, I'll better explain it in the next slide. Next, please. So when we talk about smart cities, I always try to wish that behind that smart city, there is a smart guy taking decisions, which is not usually often. And this is use innovation and use solutions in the right scale. And it doesn't matter the size or of the structure of the city, but there are common problems, and maybe there's other solutions. They using innovation, innovative ways of implementing them. You can capitalize the knowledge and do it in your city, but at the right scale. And that's very important. So next slide, please. When we are talking about this, everything happens because decisions on what kind of solutions I'm implementing in my city are being made in an isolated way by one department, but normally by the counselor of this department, because someone came to sell this super platform. And then you have your IC department saying, no, we don't need this because it's free. Yes, they told you it's free. But then when you need to get the data, you will have to pay. And we don't have budget for that. So it makes no sense. But sometimes, yes, I want to get the picture. I want to sell that this solution was implemented in my city and I'm in the way to be a super smart city. So the first thing cities need is a master plan, smart city master plan. And probably most of you say, well, obvious. Yes, obvious. You wouldn't believe how many cities don't have this. And that's why all the examples that I was telling you before are happening and are real. I'm not making them, it's not jokes because some of them are crazy, but it's real. It's happening. Cities don't make a master plan and they don't need something really big, just something that analyze what do you have, what are the steps for a digital transition, what is the first things you need to implement, considering your city strategy. Okay, so just one idea. This is another a few universities here to offer a master plan, to help a city to do a master plan to start in this process is a very good idea. And of course, big cities have a master plan. Yes, but there's a lot of medium cities, not only the small ones, there's a lot of medium cities that you wouldn't believe they are taking actions, but without being coordinated into the smart city action. And they don't have a master plan. So first of all, master plan, even if it's simple, step by step. Next, please. So when we say the cities, this is like what happened, and this is very, I would say Latin or South of Europe as well. But you always, if your neighbor has a big car, you want a bigger one. And with the cities, sometimes it's the same. Asian cities and North American cities are fighting to see who has the biggest motorways. And this is, as you can imagine, there's sensors all over, not only for traffic, but also for lighting. Probably the road has a filter to avoid, the emissions produced by the cars and everything you can imagine. And when we talk about a smart city, we talk about smart city within a sustainable urban model. And these are cities where the car is the star of the city. It's not the pedestrians, it's the star. The cars and the motorways are the one who are configuring the public space. This is Shanghai. Next, please. But I want to show you also, this is Shanghai as well. Completely different picture, right? Completely different picture. You see the other one, and it's like, wow, super smart city. You see this one, it's the same city. It's the same city. This is probably a surrounding street. And they manage. They do have traffic lights, although nobody stops. Next, please. They have the traffic lights. And somehow, this is, I don't know if you guys have been in one Shanghai or could be any other big Asian city. When you try to cross these streets and you have 1,000 motorbikes going, nobody stops in the street lights. And then you try to cross, it's impossible because you don't want to be killed by one of the motorcycles. So you can stay there 10 minutes until you cross the street, until someone comes to you and says something which is really smart in these cases. And it's something like, no look, go, no look, go. And then if you just go and cross the street without looking anywhere, that's the smartest thing you can do in Shanghai, to cross a street. And that's how it works. Next, please. And then I have, this is another, I love this picture, and we have to analyze it. If you see it right now, this is a mess. Of course, there's no tool to control this, to manage the traffic. But if we go, let's go, Luigi, please, step by step. Next. We can see cars. Yeah, next we can see motorbikes or a bicycle. I don't know. Go. You can see next this typical Asian. I don't remember the name right now. Next, there's also pedestrians. Next, there's wheelchairs. Everything together, and there's a policeman doing absolutely nothing, because these cows somehow everything is moving, everything is, and there's no accidents. It's absolutely crazy. There's no even one next please. We were talking about mobility, but we can you know that when we talk about the smart cities, the three big issues, at least how the European Commission focused the financing, is mobility, smart mobility, energy efficiency in buildings, and platforms. When we talk about buildings, and I want to always link this with the concept of sustainability and the integrated approach that I talked at the beginning. We can have these kind of houses which are super smart, all sensors you can imagine, even in design. And this is a European model, could be anyone in, we have a lot in Europe as well. Next. But we can also move to North America, where we can have this kind of areas. And again, for sure, houses have very low emissions. They're super efficient. Even the water in the golf course has intelligent grids, everything you can imagine. But who is living here? And ask yourself a question. Who's living here? Probably in the case of the European model, young families, a young couple with small kids. In this kind of, in North America, probably an older couple, retired, with money, and to play golf. In all these cases, no matter how efficient everything in this area is, the population density is super slow. It's super low. There's no diversity of uses and functions. Probably is monofunctional. It's just residential. That means that for everything you need, buy the newspaper, get the kids to school, go to the doctor, go to the office, you need to get a car. And probably not even public buses or public transport, because it's too expensive to bring this. It's not profitable as a public service, because there's very low population density. On the other hand, who is living here? There's no social cohesion. Probably is only or elderly people or young people. So there's no mixed of generations. There's no mix of income, as for sure. There's high level incomes, and no mix of cultures as well. There's no social cohesion here. And what do these people need to do every time, no matter how sustainable they are? They need to get a car. Probably they have 3 cars, each house. And they have to move to the city to access basic services. Next, please. And what they do is get into this kind of traffic. And maybe this kind of traffic, we can work on electric mobility. And you can tell me, okay, Sandra, but how about if 80% of these cars are electric? Okay, of course, much better. But even if they are electric, they have to be there for 2-3 hours a day, round trip. Can you imagine the stress of these people that spend 3 hours in the car to go and come back from work? That they have probably no time to spend in leisure with friends, with family. This is mental health, you know, under zero. And when mental health is affected also in these kind of things, what happens? Just a short video of a movie that maybe some of you have seen. Luigi, I don't know if we can play this. This is what happens when you get every day into this kind of... There's no sound. Okay, there's no sound. It's really rock music, what I put there, but you can get an idea without the music. That's okay. I don't know if you have seen this movie. This guy was a normal guy with his family, a happy guy, but every single day he had to go in a house like this, and he got finally absolutely crazy, killing everyone, trying to kill everyone. And to be honest, I don't know about you, but I felt like that a couple of times when I'm in my car and I got to get into a scroll like that. Okay, then fortunately, next please. We don't live in the United States, and we live in Europe, and we have a different picture here. And you guys are in Italy, so you know this better than I do for sure. But I remember I like very much this picture because it takes someone is going to work, someone is going to the grocery store with the kids, and someone who is retired is going to the grocery store. And it's very interesting if you see how they are mixed. I mean, this old lady there's no cycle line there, but all the time, all her life, she has been cycling mixed with cars at a very low or slow
We have a problem with the audio of Sandra.
I think our connection is very low.
Connection is falling down. But it's out. It's in the Zoom platform or out.
Oh, she's in, but her connection don't run. Okay, she go out. One moment, and she come back.
Okay. Sandra? We cannot hear you. There is no audio. We see, but...
Okay, it was only me that was left, or everyone? Just me?
Just you.
Okay, don't know what happened. Anyway, okay, so next, please. Okay, and of course, a city of proximity, like I put Rome, but most of the Italian cities could be a very good example. Next, please. Okay, so I want to give you an example, also a real example on implementation of smart solutions, in this case, energy efficiency in buildings, in low-income housing, which are normally the ones that need the measures and the solutions more than any other one, because new buildings have that already incorporated. But the oldest buildings are normally linked to low incomes. And there was a project actually led by the National Italian Energy, ENEA, within the MED program called ELIMED. It was a strategic project. I had a chance to work there, and the experience that we had was very interesting because we were thinking about all the solutions. I had a group of technicians ready to investigate the building. They did all the analysis, they did everything. We had all the solutions ready to be implemented. But we made a big mistake, which is the same mistake that most cities do when implementing smart solutions. We didn't listen, and we didn't incorporate it in the design of the solutions, the people, the residents of the building. In this case, it was social housing, average incomes of family incomes of 400 euros maximum. And as you know, when you enter in residential buildings, you need a letter from each family saying that they agree that you enter in the house and put the house full of sensors or anything. Next, the interesting experience was that when we got there and we had to get the letters from the people, and these are real people. What we were listening was, I have no idea what you're telling me. I don't understand about sensors or whatever you want to install here. In the summer, we open the windows. And in the winter, we put a lot of blankets because we don't have money to pay air conditioner or heat. So I don't really care, but I let you get into the house if you promise me you would help us to have a lift in the building, because my husband broke his hip and he has not been able to get out of the house in 5 months. And then the other family was telling us that, okay, we sign again. We have no idea what this is. Don't really see the benefit for us. But is it possible that you also guys get a job for my son, who is unemployed for like 2 years and is getting into drugs with all the people from the building? And these stories were real stories. Of course, the one on the last is the president. And they said, okay, you are entering in 40 apartments because they are in the north side where you want to work on the energy efficiency. But here, or you work in the whole building or you don't work at all, because the construction material would disappear. And that's a reality. And it was exactly like that. The company, imagine how you do this in a call for tenders. You cannot put it in the terms of reference. But the construction company that was doing all the works, they had to contract people from the building in order to save the material and involve them, and not having them stealing the everything that you were including, windows, whatever. What do I want to say with this? Co-design. Remember at the very beginning, we were talking about thinking of the impact in the community. And when we think about the impact in the community and then the solutions, we can implement them and they would work. They would have an impact. Next, please. So just to try to summarize a little bit. Next. To focus, we need to, sorry, I didn't translate this. We have to focus on the citizenship and in the stakeholders and the key actors. Next. So when the city needs to start in this, just let's go one by one. Sorry, Luigi, thanks. When the city is going to implement this kind of strategy, first thing that needs to analyze is, who am I? What kind of city do I have? I mean, what is my identity? Because if you talk to the people, if you talk to the whole, they feel, sometimes it's because of the history, sometimes it's because of the type of city, but there's always an identity. So first thing we need to find out is that the correct one? Do we want to go for that? Next. Do I have an identity that defines my city? If I do, I want to enhance it, or I want to change it and adapt it. Whatever I do, I have to do with the citizenship, with the city actors. Next. Do I have a city strategy with an integrated approach to policies? Because I need to have a strategy. I mean, we were talking about a master plan on smart city, but the master plan on smart city is one sectorial thing. We need to have an urban agenda. We need to have a sustainable urban development strategy in the city. Next. And what is the connecting thread of my city strategy? Is the identity. We need to find something that is coherent and is maintained during the strategy and during the transformation into a smart city, because we need the stakeholders. Governments change, they can change every 4 years, but if you maintain this, you maintain involving the citizenship and the stakeholders, the quadruple helix is in the same line with the same objective, this can work. Otherwise, it makes no sense. I have examples of cities, medium cities, quite big and quite known as smart cities model, that have 6 different platforms to manage different services in the city. The 6 platforms have different languages, so the data cannot be integrated. This is crazy, and it's costing money, not the installation, of course, but to get the data. So why? Because this is missing. Next, please. So what would be the steps? Okay. We have the different areas from the municipality, the citizenship, the stakeholders. Next, working together in defining what are the problems. You know that sometimes as scientific things, there's a problem, and the politician says, no, that's not a problem. And the beneficiaries, we thought the energy efficiency in that building was a problem. That wasn't the problem for them. The problem for them was social, because there's priorities. So we need to work on common problems with all the actors involved. Next. Is a collective, then we need to do a collective transformation of problems into challenges. It's not the same thing. Sometimes we mix it. One thing is a problem, something else is a challenge. So we need, remember at the beginning where we were saying we need solutions to face the challenges. I talked to you about that in the beginning. Yes, but you need to have real challenges, okay, that correspond to real problems. Next. So once we have the challenges identified, then we can work on an urban agenda. We have done a diagnosis, and we can do it in an integrated approach at all levels. I put here an example of thematic approach, okay, because I gave you examples on that. But the integration has to also be multi-level, etc., depending on the competences of the different policies. Next. I have an urban agenda because I know what are the problems, and I have identified the challenges, and I go back to the same participative process. Next, and jointly we find solutions through collective intelligence to those problems. So there's no someone that decides I want to have the traffic management tool that this city has. No, because you don't need it. You don't need it. You have other challenges. So work with the business, work with all the rest of the stakeholders of the city, of all the actors work to find together solutions to what you need. Same example as a lesson learned with the building. If we would have worked instead of with all the top technicians, top business on energy efficiency in buildings, if we would have worked with the residents of the building, and we didn't because it was a social housing belonging to the municipality, but the residents were families with very low income housing. Those are the ones that live there and uses the services. And we didn't work to identify the real challenges and finding the solutions with them. When we did it, we will be able to restart. We changed the project and it was perfect and it worked and it's a good practice. It was awarded by Eurocities, it's been awarded, but we had to learn. We made mistakes. Okay, so in order to avoid those mistakes, if we follow this process, then we will get to have the right solutions to the scale of city and the scale of our challenges. Next, please. So just to finish, next, couple of reflections. So basically, this is about humanizing the smart city. It's just humanizing and thinking about who are you bringing this solution to and what is the real problem. So the citizenship and the key actors, because it's not only the citizenship, but it's the business, the academia. It's everything that has to do, depending on the challenge, everything that can have something to do with the solution needs to be involved and be the center of the smart city strategy of the city. Next. Integrate your smart plan in the city strategy in a transversal way, because normally when you see solutions of smart city solutions, cities adopt a smart city solution, one is always linked to energy efficiency in building, one is linked to energy lighting control, management, traffic control. They are linked to other sectorial areas. So it needs to be transversal into the city strategy, into the urban agenda. Next. The solutions are implemented on a master plan, integrated into the strategy. And then we can put priorities, because maybe before including a management system for the waste, we need to put basic services available for the citizen on the city that could be online, and we don't have that. So you have to invest in some basic things before going a step further. So scales and times. Next. And just to finish, this is something that in English, it doesn't sound so good as it sounds in Spanish. In Spanish, we said listo before being inteligente. So there's a difference between being intelligent and being clever, which would be the translation into English. So we have to be clever before being smart. And we cannot buy everything. Not everything works for us. We just need to find the way of doing things and implementing the smart city in an innovative way, in a different way. And we will be on the top for sure. So what are the challenges? What are the priorities? That's why we need the urban agenda. And now when I have that clear, I integrate the smart solutions into the city strategy, but not forgetting what is my identity and what is my strategy. If I'm not a smart city, you cannot be a smart city when you have 36% of unemployment. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So cities don't have to sell themselves as smart city when they have all the challenges that make people say, come on, 36% of unemployment and you are a super smart city. Something is not making sense. So this is it, I think. So thank you very much. I hope you just go with, I wanted you to get a couple of reflections. I know there's 1,000 of webinars, courses, everything online. So if I made you think a couple of reflections, I will be super happy. So thank you, Luigi. I think that was the last. You go next. Yeah, next. Yeah, that was it. So thank you very much. I haven't been able to see the chat or anything. I don't know if there will be any questions, but
okay, I check for you. Not for now.
Okay.
I really appreciate your, as you know, I appreciate your approach about the problem, and you are so able to show the problem in a light way and make that so nice. So
it's a pity that the video didn't have music, because it's super rock, you know, like when he hits the guys and is super violent, which I think is perfect.
was terrible. The video was terrible.
You know, but normally when I put it in a live conference, that's funny because I can see the people's faces, and that's super funny. Remember that I need to have fun while I'm presenting also. So I like to see people faces.
Okay, but so you like really problem so surreal, so important, because oh, there is a comment. Thank you from Ines. Really important remarks and approach. Thank you, Ines. No, thank you from Sandra. That I think. Thanks you.
Ines Ferreira. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Can you see the?
Yeah. Now I can see them. Yeah. I can see them.
But Ines speak Italian too.
You know that if most of the, I don't know if it's, I guess not everyone is Italian, because sometimes Italians and Spaniards, we understand each other, you know.
There are different participants that are not Italian, but many of them understand Italian.
Yeah. But normally face to face is better when we understand each other, because we use the hands and
That's true.
Both of us, so we understand each other much better.
But the point you highlight, for my opinion, are central.
You guys, universities have a business there, really, to offer cities.
Sorry.
Yes, thank you, Sandra. I'm the guy talking after you. You've stolen my thunder, but in a very good manner. So thank you so much.
Hi, Dan.
And I'm sorry about the rock music. I still want to hear that. You inspired me to watch it.
That's fantastic. I don't know what happened.
I use the case of road rage as an example that we have too much energy, too much fossil fuel. You know, it's disadvantage of having too many resources. It's bad for us.
The Italian name of the Italian title of the film, I think, was Un giorno di ordinaria follia, a day of ordinary
folly, crazy,
crazy.
Yeah. Sounds better than the English title.
In Spanish it was Un día de furia.
Like, that day of anger,
Un día de furia, but you know, I know I shouldn't say this in public, but I feel like that sometimes. It's like, you know, you. But anyway, it's really mental health is super important, and
in Rome it's the normality.
I know.
Every day. I know. If you, or in Nepal, if you go.
But that's the smart thing. How do you handle not to get crazy? Because, you know, I'm sure these kind of guys are the ones that get into a high school and start shooting everyone, or into a McDonald's, and but you know.
But to be serious, about the involvement of citizens, about the importance to focus on the real problem, not just to implement technology in the city. So that's the point.
But I always say that the participation needs to be oriented. So of course, just going back to the example of this building, when we went back, we didn't get the people there to say, okay, what do you think it would improve the energy efficiency of your buildings? Of course not. I mean, you have to, you know, the participation needs to have an orientation. I mean, there has to be, you can, sometimes you have to invite people to decide between something that you already know is feasible, because obviously sometimes, you know, not everyone understands about smart solutions. They can tell you what the problem is. But
okay, but it's true, but everyone understands perfectly its need. So maybe they don't have awareness of smart solution. They don't understand perfectly how work a particular solution, but we have to start from the need and answer with the right solution.
Yeah.
I always think that most of these so-called smart solutions are not smart. They're trying to undo some of the dumb mistakes we made in the past. And I think many cases you go to a smaller European city, I mean, it's a terrible place to give this talk in Italy, because I think you have made fewer mistakes than most other countries. But, you know, you're trying to, where there's no social capital, you try to connect people digitally. It's like trying to fix a wound, actually, rather than trying to do something that's really, you know, novel. But I guess in big cities, in cities where a lot of people come and go, a lot of the technology does allow you to do things at scale, which in the past in a village you would do by talking to each other in a cafe.
Yes, I agree. Absolutely. So if there are no question or comment, because you are eating pasta or pizza, or
maybe people are having a digital siesta now.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful digital siesta is our new claim.
I know. Digital lunch is followed by a digital siesta, of course.
Is that a climate smart solution? A digital siesta?
That's why they don't get stressed in the cars, and, you know, with all the strike.
But it's strange because the presentation was so strong. It's impossible to sleep after the presentation of Sandra.
No, but now comes mine. I'll do mine in a very calm voice. After they can have
music.
Once upon a time.
Not rock music, but very relaxing music. So. Okay, so we can go. We can move to Dan presentation.
Yeah. Shall I see if I can share the screen? That sometimes goes wrong.
Okay, we can use these minutes to test and to check your presentation if all the things works. And just to take some minute from a presentation and another presentation. Sandra, of course, you are welcome if you like to stay. And in each webinar, in each laboratory, in each moment you like, you are welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will stay a little bit. Then I have another thing, and then I have the real lunch also.
Just 5 minutes and then stop.
No, I'm connecting in an hour with Latin America because it's yeah, they start now.
I don't think I will be telling you a lot of new things.
No, but I want I want to listen at least to the Once Upon a Time.
It's for the digital siesta. Organized.